This series was made possible thanks to the generosity of these patrons and from the likes and watch time of viewers like you. Thank you for your support.
Read the disclaimers. And please use common sense. Hey, Bite.
Hey, Maya.
Are you okay? You sound a little lifeless today.
I honestly don't know.
You're not making it sound like you don't know. Don't worry, you can tell me how you feel. I'm not going to judge you.
I'm just getting overwhelmed by this feeling that I could have done better.
Well, objectively, that's always true, but it's hardly anything to beat yourself up over.
Well, yeah, that's true of life in general, but honestly, this year I just had so many plans and reviews that I wanted to do and that I started work on, but never made it into production. Out of the 20 videos I've produced this year, and that's including the one I'm writing right now, only 8 of those will be episodes of It Figures, and out of those 8, only 6 of them will end up being proper reviews. Honestly, I don't know. At this point, I just feel like I'm not contributing anything to the whole YouTube Transformer reviewer scene. Like, just not important. Another voice in the crowd.
Well, at least you've had fun making them, right?
Honestly, Maya, I wish I could say that you're right, because it hasn't been fun to make these since at least half a year after I started making them with 90% lightbox footage. The editing process has become a slog for me to get through, and I just don't look forward to making them anymore. It's why I've moved away from doing so much lightbox footage. It just isn't fun for me anymore. And honestly, I could deal with it not being fun if it weren't for the fact that I'm not getting paid for any of this. On YouTube, you need 9 bajillion subscribers and people supporting you on Patreon, not to mention you bow down to the mindless algorithm that they don't bother explaining to you. It's just more and more monotony. And I just don't enjoy that. To be quite frank, I'd love to say that I miss videos not being easy to make anymore, but the truth is, I just miss them being fun to make. Honestly, what it all comes down to, I think, is that I've been burning myself out with my own anxiety, and that anxiety is like burning my candle at both ends. I want to do stuff, and I put effort into doing it, but at the same time, the anxiety of having to do that and all the expectations I put upon myself ends up burning me out before I ever get there. Honestly, being a creator is way harder than it should be.
Well, we all experience burnout. And sometimes, we've just got to find a good way to get rid of that burnout.
Yeah, but dealing with burnout is one of those things that's easier said than done. Sure, there are things I could do to fix the problem. There are probably ways of thinking outside the box, but that's thinking outside the box. It doesn't exactly help when you feel like you're stuck inside the box and can't get out, and the only way out is something you can't change, or something that you know you're not going to enjoy. I just wish I could be better at this. I wish the box just wasn't there. Wait, box. Huh. I haven't thought about boxes in a while. just hit me. I finally got an idea. I finally got an idea of what I should review next. Give me a second. That's right. There was something that I covered a while back that I just never went back to. I really enjoyed it, but maybe I should review one of those. Now then, let's see here. Do we have any of them laying around? Oh, hey, it's the Energon Sharkticon. Not what I'm looking for, so maybe next time. Studio Series 86 Wheelie. But then I'd probably have to commit to the rhyming scheme on that one.
I was playing upon my Nintendo Switch when you dared interrupt it, you son of a bitch!
No way! Wait, there's Drop Shot. Maybe fun for the meme cred, but again, not today. Legacy Blitzwing could be fun, but again, it's not what I'm looking for. I know I have more of them around here somewhere. Oh wait, there it is! There it is. Haha, it's time for round 2. Podaroo, my Christmas weeboos, 'tis I, Firebite27, and today I come to you with a bit of a conundrum on my mind. You see, I've often seen it argued by other Transformers reviewers, and heck, I've even blindly argued it myself, that a Transformer is a toy of 3 worlds. We have the animal/vehicle, sometimes spelled with an apostrophe with an S inside, toy, which is what the Transformer turns into. We've got the action figure, which is what the robot mode occupies, and in between those two we have a puzzle, and while I've accepted that, I've never really critically thought about why that's the case. Like, when I think of puzzles, I think of something like a brain teaser, like something you have to put a lot of your mental muscle into figuring out. Like those toys that people briefly show off during YouTube shorts where like, the solution is like to knock 3 times on the wooden tablet that's colored differently from the rest of the toy, and then just twist it 3 times, shake lightly, and then bam, you get to see a little penguin inside of a tube. And I think a big part of why I don't find Transformers to be brain teaser puzzles is because eventually they're gonna stop making me think. It's gonna become muscle memory. They're easy to find out, but that muscle memory is going to make the transformation mindless, and that doesn't make for a good brain teaser, at least for me personally. It's something that I want to be mystified by every single time I transform it. However, a third-party company has made me realize that I was wrong. A Transformer can still be a brain teaser no matter how many times you do it. Salutations, denizens of the internet. I'm Firebite27, and let us commence our analysis of 52 Toys Beast Box Firmhand.
Oi, Josuke! I just used my Zahando to make the production cost of your Transformers cheaper. Ain't that wacky?
Okay, I'm never gonna do the Okuyasu Nijimura impersonation again. That was terrible. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye. But yes, getting back to what I'm actually talking about here, this is the Beast Box line. They've been featured once before on this channel, and this is generally the only third-party company that I like. Not to disrespect anyone like Mastermind Creations or Iron Factory, but these guys check a lot of my boxes. For starters, they're relatively affordable.
Each one only comes at least $27 a pop on Amazon. For 2, they make great fidgets for me when I'm just in class and need something to do with my hands so I can pay attention to the teacher more thoroughly. And for 3, like I said, they're on Amazon. That's a big part of why I don't like shopping for third-party figures is because a lot of them are available on shady websites like TF Safari and TF Source. Please do not comment about how those websites are actually reputable. With the way that some of my friends' experiences have gone on those websites, I don't consider them to be reputable. Do not try and change my mind. I will block you.
And then we have my 4th qualifier, originality, because in the third-party landscape, it's about as scarce as Ma's Toys was after their failed crowdfunding campaign for the Renegade project. A lot of third-party companies are guilty of this because they choose to copy Hasbro verbatim. They don't bring any new ideas to the table because they won't sell. And copying does.
And that copying, to me at least, is a double red flag, because not only am I opposed at a base level to people ripping off other people's designs wholesale, because that's literally what these third parties are doing, but also because it gives Hasbro the go-ahead to eventually shut them all down with the aid of the police of whatever country these companies are based in.
But again, this is a point where 52 Toys thrives.
They have a great strength that most third parties don't, in that they don't really rip off Hasbro or anyone. Well, I mean, color schemes are an exception. That's just a reference. But when it comes to most third-party companies, they just take the designs wholesale from other people. However, 52 Toys, it's all original and all magnificent. But why is that the case with this line? Why am I saying that this figure in particular is a good example of why it's a puzzle? Well, I'll cover that eventually, because right now, the cube mode is honestly just a thing. It's not something that I can really comment on any more deeply than saying, this is what it is and this is what it looks like. I will say that it does a great job of like showing off all the colors of this figure, and I will make a confession that at first when I received this figure on Halloween, the colors seemed pretty faded, at least the gray and the bluish gray did. However, now a few months on, I think they look great. And being a cube is all this mode does. That's really its only purpose. I think the reason I have trouble commenting on the cube mode any further than just it being a cube is, well, quite frankly, it doesn't really have a practical purpose beyond being a cube. There's no vehicle mode, there's no tank treads, there's nothing I really have to comment on beyond it's a cube. And what purpose am I supposed to use that for? Rex Lapis cosplay? Well, I'm too chubby for that, so that's out of the question. Am I supposed to use it to reenact the first live-action movie? Probably too much work. Am I supposed to use it to build in Minecraft?
Yes, I'm a filthy bedrock casual. Fight me!
Fight the Avengers? String this and a bunch of other figures from 52 Toys together and make an NFT joke?
Ha ha ha, do you get it? It's a blockchain.
I don't know. Okay, well, technically not all of that is true. There are some things you can do with the cube mode. Certain figures from 52 Toys, such as Cannibal, the crab mode, which I got more recently this year in the form of Blue Crab, can actually store another copy of the crab cube on its back when the other crab cube is in cube mode. They just link up somehow.
So here's this giant enemy crab.
Oh no, we've crossed to the memes. And then we have Mega Dio, an evolution of their first release, Dio, which can store any cube on its back. And in fact, with that Evangelion repaint I showed earlier, they actually use this to great effect by using a repaint and a slight remold of the Dio mold to actually act as an entry plug for the Evangelion colored Mega Dio. However, the major attraction in cube mode comes from the storage containers, which do actually have a cool method of sort of organizing themselves, even though it kind of borders on being a gimmick. Basically, you can take 2 or more of these little storage cubes and link them together, either vertically or horizontally, or both. You can just have a wall of them displayed all at once, and it's also a great way to organize them. Unfortunately though, these storage cubes, like most of life, have issues. For starters, one size doesn't perfectly fit all. in that when you put them inside of their little storage boxes, they'll rattle around. Which they do include a solution for that, which is a little sheet of plastic you're supposed to... I just think that, well, that's okay and pretty cool. I'm gonna lose it eventually. I'm just gonna throw it out with the rest of the trash, and it's not gonna be much use for very long. Also, some of the lids on the storage containers are tolerance to woefully loose, so all it takes is a one good shake and... yeah, it's not staying in there with that thing involved, so you might as well just tolerate the rattling, I guess. For two, these things are made of clear plastic, which means that if you drop them while a cube is still inside, one of those legs that grapples onto the other cubes is gonna break.
Jesus Christ, look at that stress mark. Boy, this thing ain't long for this world.
And while they are infinitely configurable, losing at least 1/4 of the grip that you have on the other object, it means that they lose some of that connectivity. And as a result, kind of grow less satisfying to configure. My other marginally bigger issue is just the fact that not all of the cubes are one uniform color. Like, in some cases, like this one, which was packed with a Mega Box Xenomorph, which, yeah, they do licensed cubes. This one is okay. I'm okay with that. You want it to stand out because it's a licensed product. But then it gets weirder with other releases like Firmhand's Repaint, Chrome Ribs, who's cast in translucent blue plastic and has this weird sort of like shredded paper decal on the front. And then there's another one which is like in blue clear plastic, but it has like sakura petals on it. It just makes it confusing. And then there's one that's made out of opaque plastic that's bile green and it looks gross. It's just weird, and it's a minor issue, but kind of makes collecting them a bit of a pain. My point is, there's not a lot to talk about with the cube mode. The most interesting things I can say are about the little box it comes with. Though there is another interesting detail that's in relation to this, but that's not important until we reach robot mode. So, until then, let's do some size comparisons. Here's Firmhand next to my last review, Legacy Kickback, the last Beast Box figure I reviewed on this channel, Space Anthem, two other Beast Box figures that I like, Ricochet and Teardrop. Here he is next to HasLab's Star Saber and Victory Leo. Here he is next to Iron Factory Mini One-Man Army Mirror. And here he is next to a standard Qtama, standard Camp Sparkling Water, and Broadside. So, yeah, the cube mode, I mean, I just don't really have anything else I need to say about it. It's a cube, it's not exactly very engaging. But it will make for a pretty baller accessory if I ever decide to cosplay the Zhongli statues from Genshin Impact. Probably not. Anyways, let's get to wolf mode. Okay, so while I don't think that transformation looked like much all sped up, I think I need to talk about it in a bit more detail because, quite honestly, the transformation feels like it was designed by aliens. And I have literally had a few of my friends try and transform this, and they end up getting everything upside down. That is how crazy this transformation is. For starters, we've got one arm that is basically been pulled out of its socket and hinged onto the chest, which in and of itself is a really weird move that I've never seen before in my life. But then we've got the legs that basically have like folded into a U shape and embrace the entirety of the figure, which again is lunacy for Transformers. That is crazy right there. And just when you think it can't get any crazier, you basically have to open up the torso and shove the head in there, which is a pretty standard move. But the way you do it is by twisting the legs to the side, making sure they're in their U shape and embracing at least part of the robot, I mean cube mode, flipping the ears up over the eyes, then shoving the entire neck assembly just inside of his torso so the snout's poking out of this side. It is crazy, and it's scratching that bit of my brain that always felt that Transformers weren't living up to that whole brain teaser puzzle idea. It is incredibly interesting, and one that I haven't gotten bored with despite it being over a month since I got this thing. I feel like it shouldn't be this interesting, like everything should feel rote and boring by this point, but nope, this transformation rules. And honestly, if you consider yourself a Transformers fan, you owe it to yourself to like get one of these, or at least try out the transformation once, because it is a goddamn revelation. And this gives me a chance to demonstrate yet another one of their many strengths as a toy manufacturer, in that, well, the Beast Mode looks amazing. It honestly blows me away that just a few seconds ago, this was just a dumpy little cube, and now it's a somewhat proportionate wolf. Granted, I wasn't always sold on the appearance of this figure. Specifically, I mentioned earlier that the two grays kind of upset me. The promo images showed them off as being far darker, specifically this bluish gray. It almost looked like navy blue. But when I got it in hand, it was more of a charcoal gray mixed with a navy blue, and that kind of put me off. Plus, the stone gray plastic kind of looks yellowed in person, so it kind of put me in the mind of, like, I guess, oh right, Kingdom Grimlock, the one that came with Mirage. He's yellowed a bit, and that honestly bugged me, but I don't know, it's working for me now. Jeez, would you look at that discoloration? You'd think someone in my house had been smoking, but no one has, as far as I'm aware, for the past 17 years. Jeez, this is bad. And even if I wasn't won over by this color combination, I'm pretty sure the lovely lavender and the stupendous cyan, or I guess tenacious teal, would have won me over eventually. And that brings me to another point, the paint. The paint on this figure is amazing, with this sort of, I guess, barely color-matched teal paint for the teal plastic, which looks great, even though it doesn't 100% match its plastic counterpart. We got this lavender, which, unlike the teal, perfectly matches the plastic. And we've also got a bit of silver and some random orange on the underside, along with these cyan vents here, which are just really small, but they picked them out, which is super impressive. Honestly, I would have just expected them to blanket the entire thing, but nope, they've actually like picked out each individual vent. And then we get to the clear plastic on this figure, which normally would be an issue on figures, but in this case, it's not. Mostly because a majority of the parts that are clear plastic don't bear stress. The one that does is the tip of the tail, and that does really concern me, but these little ankle spikes aren't under any stress. Same goes for these little compartments on the shoulders, and I don't know, they just add something to the figure. And this great appearance is made even stronger by the silver paint, which is shinier than anything I've seen on official Transformers. It just looks good, okay? That's all I really need to say about it. However, as much as it pains me to do this, I have to cover the negatives of this figure, because while I don't think there are many, it's important to consider them before you buy. It's just general reviewer stuff, you know?
I'm a firing my leg on!
For starters, it might be a little too complicated for newcomers to the 52 Toys line. I think that the complexity of this transformation is a good selling point for more mature collectors, but for younger collectors, they might find it frustrating, and they might even get it wrong, and I would know. Now, the second thing, which is more a genuine nitpick of mine, is that, unfortunately, there's no way to get it into a good howling pose with its head tilted up towards the moon unless you turn the entire neck assembly around. And while that does open up the articulation, it would be nice if I didn't have to put in additional work to get it. I mean, for something like this that's silly, I'll happily put in the extra work because I know the results will be worth it. It will end in a funnier picture for my audience. Oh look, I fan-moded Savage Noble. However, with the neck, it's just extra work for something that should have been first on the checklist in terms of articulation. So yeah, the Beast Mode, appearance-wise at least, is great. Especially with this fourth asymmetrical paw here, which in and of itself is an interesting talking point, and in some people's opinions might be the one thing that is outright flawed with the figure. Okay, I need to talk about this real quick. So 52 Toys has a tendency of designing little add-on kits for their figures. For example, some of them might come with an extra weapon.
My hovercraft.
Or in the case of Ricochet, who comes with some boxing gloves in the box, there's an extra sort of like punching bag accessory that you can buy separately.
Or a copyright neutral Metroid Prime that turns into Cthulhu's brain for some reason.
My brain hurts!
However, when it comes specifically to Firmhand, the accessory that they designed for him was this awesome additional, like, huge laser claw weapon that can be attached on top of this bionic one. I haven't exactly been able to find a canonical explanation, because apparently Beastbox has lore in it, as to why Firmhand, this asymmetrical front leg, but, it is sort of, like, implied that that is so he can support the weapon. And the problem is the Beastbox website on Amazon advertises this claw attachment. However, it is not sold with Firmhand. And this is especially baffling because, well, Firmhand is slightly more expensive than most of the other Beastbox figures. All of them come in about $26.99 or $27. However, this one is about $3 more, so I kind of expected him to come with that claw accessory. So ultimately, I don't think I'm gonna dock the figure too hard for what was clearly just an accidental false advertisement on their Amazon page. But what I might have to dock 52 Toys for in general is their poor use of English on their promotional images.
Translucent design in many places. Murder inside.
All your days are belong to us.
Oh boy, I cannot make this shit up. Anyways, let's talk about the articulation, because honestly, that's another strong suit of this figure, and one of the reasons why I am totally smitten with this.
Firmhand possesses a ball-jointed head, hinged jaw, hinged ears, double-hinged neck, ball-jointed shoulders, hinged elbows, a bicep swivel on the robotic leg, and the paws are hinged and on a swivel. There is an ab crunch, ball-jointed hips, digitigrade double knee joints, and paws are on a ball joint attached to a hinge. And finally, the tail is on a hinge that has a swivel at the end, and the tip has a hinge.
And finally, I should cover the size, because I think that's going to be a problem for some people if they don't know what they're getting into. Beastbox figures retail for the same price as Hasbro Voyagers. In fact, let me grab an example real quick. This retails for basically the same price as this. And while it seems like you're getting less with this than you are with this, I'd argue you're actually getting around the same, because not only is the transformation far more complex and also like really, really inventive, but also this is a smaller company which can charge more for their products because they aren't going to make as much profit off of them. And on top of that, just holding these two in my hands right now, this feels like it weighs as much as this. And that's before you remember that there's a few extra grams of plastic being included with these box accessories, which add a bunch of functionality for display purposes. So ultimately, I would say that they're worth around the same price. Granted, they are worth a little less because on average, the 52 Toys Beastbox figures charge less, but this is still worth its asking price, even with its slightly smaller size. These size comparisons will serve to highlight one final strength of the 52 Toys Beastbox line. However, before I can get to it, here he is next to Legacy Kickback, HasLab Starsaber, HasLab Victory Leo, Mini One-Man Army Mirror, and of course a standard Kutama, standard Cam Sparkling Water, and Broadside. But now, to illustrate the strength that I just mentioned, and that is the creativity and variety found within this line, I'd like to present him next to Space Anthem, Ricochet, and Teardrop. All of these started out as cubes of a similar size and shape, but they've all grown through the transformation into completely different animals, quite literally. And this is honestly why 52 Toys Beastbox clicks for me. You have an ingeniously simple concept that is easy to execute, but has so much variety in terms of how you can choose to execute it. Some of them are too complicated for their own good. Others are too easy for their own good. But there are those who find an ingenious balance, like the one set by Firmhand and Space Anthem. And those ones are the best of the best that the Beastbox line has to offer. So, overall, I'd have to say that the 52 Toys Beastbox line has managed to win me over again. And a big part of the reason why it took this long for me to review another one of their figures is because I very briefly fell out of love with them. The other two figures that I got around the same time as Space Anthem were okay, but one of them was too frustrating for me to enjoy, and the other one was a bit too simple for my taste. And then the fourth one I got just broke on me less than 24 hours after I got it. It was this cool-ass bison with a toxic waste color scheme. One of the horns just fell off immediately. And I did also enjoy the crab that I showed off in my last episode of post-production very briefly, but that was ruined by my cousin's son, who constantly asking me to play Crab Rave while he played with it, and he also kind of damaged it a little, but whatever the case, I think that I enjoy this one the most because it engages me on a far more personal level, and it's made me see why people consider Transformers to be that toy of three worlds. I see the puzzle finally, and I'm really happy that I do. So overall, I'd have to award this thing one of my highest scores, of a 9.5 out of 10. And I know that I say that figures earn their high scores a lot, but this time I mean it. I really enjoy this, and it's already shot way up in my top, whatever it ends up being at the end of the year. And this year, I won't have a worst of list, because so many of the toys that I've gotten are good like this. I don't need to make a worst of list. And that's amazing. And I'm really glad that I get to cap off this year of chaos and some self-doubt with a review of a figure as good as this. So, with that being said, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to do everything that every other YouTuber asks you to do at the end of these things, and I'll see you next time. Firebite27, over and out.